Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. Let me just check my setup, make sure everything's working. And I'm hoping that everybody's hearing me properly. We have a lot of technology here. So, welcome to our Saturday practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together in what we call the bootcamp. Uh, it can be a sanctuary, it can be a retreat. I rather call it bootcamp. This is a time that we spend together practicing together, creating positive energy that we carry through the rest of the week. So we are arranging for a venerable who is actually a student of Thich Nhat Hanh. Many of you probably know of him, very famous monk from Vietnam. Um, Actually, a very important piece of information is that Thich Nhat Hanh, when he was a young monk, was the one that came to the U.S. and asked for audience with Martin Luther King, and he was the one that actually persuade Dr. King to come out and be against the Vietnam War, not only to relieve the suffering of the Vietnamese people, but at the time, many of you were not born yet, but at the time, the draft was exempt for those who were in college, which are mainly uh, white people. So the people of color were actually carrying the burden of fighting and dying in a remote place for a reason that is unknown to them. But in any case, Thich Nhat Hanh was very famous for many things. And one of his students will come to us to Oakland, and I hope that I will be able to record it and share with you if you could not come. But he was asking me what kind of things that he should be talking about. This is a monk that is in his early 40s. He actually became a novice monk when he was 14 years old, born in Vietnam, and then went to France and studied under Thich Nhat Hanh, and eventually became a what we call Bhikkhu, which is a real monk. And then he's also a abbot of a temple in Hawaii, serving mainly the Vietnamese American population. But he does have a bachelor and a master degree from the from the University of Hawaii, and he's actually in the process of finishing his PhD. So this is somebody who's very, very accomplished, and I was very excited that he would come. Understanding is that he would come once a month, to give a talk and to guide us in our meditation. But he did ask me, "Is it any? What should I be talking about?" I said, "Well, let me give you a topic," and I think that topic is very appropriate for us as well. Every Saturday, that's what we do. That's really the meaning and the purpose of the word bootcamp. And I said, Venerable, why don't you do this? Why don't you talk about mindfulness for the urban warriors? For the urban warriors. And I said, and the subtitle ought to be Finding Balance Between Our Three-Legged Life, our health, our family, and a career. And I think that's what we're trying to do here is that we are not just working on our body, promoting health. We're also working on our mind, giving us the tool called mindfulness so that we can deal with all the chaos, sometimes in our family, sometimes outside the family, and maintain that harmony in our family, in our workplace, in our community. So we do that by understanding that a bridge can be built between our body and our mind, and it's called Qi. Qi has a very simple meaning. One is breathing, air. And so that's what we did last week is we start with breathing, a breathing exercise, and then we work from that to Qi as in life energy. And the life energy comes in an energetic form and a restorative form. In modern terminology, that we call would be called fight or flight or rest and digest. So we're going to do all that towards the end with an exercise that was passed down by Bodhidhama, a North Indian yogi that visited China in the early 600, um, so more than 1500, 1400 years ago. And the exercise is called Yi Jin Jing. We just call it YJJ, which means exchange, renewal. Sometimes the second word is translated into tendon, but more accurately is the connective tissue, is the fascia. It is the conduit of a life energy, something that is just starting to be discovered in Western medical science. In any case, let's start with the practice by working with these communication channels, working with our extremities, which would be the fingertips and the toes, and then working along these channels through our arm, through our shoulder, to our neck, and to the rest of the body, all the way to the bottom of the feet. So let's get started, shall we? All right. So before we do anything, people ask, they said, Danny, is this Qigong? I said, of course it is. In the sense that Gong is the practice, Qi is your life energy. And it can be as simple as sitting properly with the understanding that our spine is actually an organ, a very important organ. It's an organ that protects what is inside of the organ, which are um, what do you call that? Marrow. And many people think that the liver is the one that create the blood cell. It's not true. The liver is mainly to filter your blood and remove toxins from your blood. The blood is actually both the red and the white blood cells is actually created by the marrow. And so your life energy actually rests in your spine. And the red blood cells is what gives you vitality, and the white blood cell is what gives you immunity. So it's very important. So let's do the most simple but most effective Qigong practice you can ever do, which is just to learn to sit properly. So we do that by identifying two very important energy points. There's one right below the belly button, about one finger. It is called the sea of Qi. The Chinese believe that the umbilical cord, the belly button, is where you receive material health from your mother when you're inside her womb. Whereas you receive your life energy at this energy point called the Sea of Qi. Now, right behind the Sea of Qi is a very important energy point on your spine, which is called the gate of life. So when you're inside your mother's womb, you're actually creating the harmony between your yin and the yang. Yin means away from the sun. Modern terminology would be rest and digest. That's a restorative, the nourishing energy. You're getting that from your mom. And then on your own, you're creating your own life. And you do that at the very back, which is the gate of life. And from there, you grow your existence through the spine. So by stretching the spine, much as what the pets do, right? So that's why in yoga you have this pose called a downward dog. That's what the dog is doing. That's what the cat is doing. Is that they're stretching the spine to improve their vitality and also their immunity. So let's do that by focusing on the very bottom of the spine, right behind the belly button. And we're going to walk up the spine. There are 22, 23 joints in your spine. So I want you to envision walking up one joint at a time towards the top of the head. And as you walk up, I want you to stretch the spine towards the top of the ceiling, towards the ceiling, as if you're hanging your spine on the ceiling. Stretch it as hard as you can. And now what you need to do is to lean back. Now, as you lean back, you feel a sense of lightness. And it's for a very simple reason. because you're removing the baggage, meaning that you're putting the weight of your upper torso on your spine and using less and less of your back muscle. And now it's very important that you relax. You relax. It's important to stretch your spine, but then you need to relax. And now you focus on your shoulder and you lift up your shoulder all the way up as if you're bringing your shoulder to your ears. And then you open that shoulder all the way out. And then you let go of the drop your shoulder and then relax. And one more thing, you focus on your forehead, you lean back your forehead. Again, you feel a sense of lightness because you're putting the weight of your head, 20, about 20% of your body weight on top of the spine and not relying on your neck muscle. And now what you want to do is you want to tuck in the chin slightly. So the top of the head, this energy point called the 100 meet, where all the energy comes together and go into the universe, is now on top of your spine. This is the most important exercise you can learn to do to enhance your vitality and your immunity. It is, in fact, the most basic but the most effective Qigong. Now, I want you to lift up your left hand, identify the fingers, identify the fingertips, and then I want you to take up the right hand using the thumb and very gently and very mindfully massage the fingertips. The fingertips are, in fact, an important energy point. That's an exchange point. Energy that leaves your body is called yang, influence of the sun. And energy that returns is called yin, absence of the sun. And now, after you finish massaging the fingertips, I want you to identify the joints. And then I just want you to massage the joints. And I want you to start on the left, come to the middle, and to the right. And again, after you finish one joint, you move to the next one. Leave that one behind. It's already done. Just let it go. And now focus on the next one. Always focus, learn to focus on the present. And then you finish one finger, you move to the next one. Again, very gently, very mindfully. And observe the change in your body as you rub your joints. Am I feeling any pain? Very often we feel pain because arthritis is chronic inflammation. It's just another form of inflammation. So is dementia. It's just chronic inflammation of your brain. And now one finger at a time. And again, focusing on the sensation. So you realize that we're not just doing exercise, we're actually practicing mindfulness, what I call mindfulness in motion. So now we move from the left hand to the right hand. Again, massaging the joints, right? Massaging the joints. Now, massaging the fingers not only reduce the pain in your finger, it actually reduces the pain all over the body because you are actually clearing the energy channel. Now we're going to go from the inside of the palm to the outside of the palm. Again, starting with the fingertip, but this time we're going to work on the two corners of the fingernails. So I want you to take your thumb and the index finger, put it around and just kind of squeeze it a little bit. One finger at a time, one finger at a time. And going from the left hand to the right hand, one finger at a time, one finger at a time. And now back to the joints, right? It's very important that you're listening to me because what you're doing by listening to me is that you're not letting your hearing organ, your ears, wandering around. And it's very important that you pay attention to what you're doing, feeling your body, feeling and focusing with your eye, right? And that way you reduce your chance of having a wandering mind. Well, what's so wrong with wandering mind? Well, a wandering mind does two things. It either hides in the past, or it leaps forward into the future. If you spend too much time in the past, that could be a problem, right? You keep thinking about things that unpleasant or even pleasant. Sometimes we focus on the pleasantness of life and forget that it can't last forever. Everything is impermanent, and sometimes we focus too much on the pain, and that's not good either, right? So the past is its place, but spending too much time there create problem. All right. So now we're done with the tips, from the fingertips, done with the joints. And now you take your thumb and just kind of massage from the end, from the base of the fingers to the tip, kind of massage along the length of the fingers in between the joints, and then going from the left hand to the right hand. And someone asked, how long does this one go? And Martha answered, which is about hour and a half. But you don't, if you don't have hour and a half, it's okay, okay, because it's recorded. All right. So now we go from the inside to the outside, and all right, and then now the other hand. So you actually think of this, if you want, as a therapy. It's a therapy for your body and your mind, and allowing you to kind of focus your senses, your eye, your nose, your ear, your tongue, and your body. And in the end, it's on your mind. Okay, now we're going to work on the back side of the hand. The back side of the hand is the part that is facing the sun. So when we talk about live energy, we're talking about this communication channels. We call them meridians. So they either travel in the inside away from the sun, or they travel on the outside facing the sun. When it's facing the sun, it's energetic, it's fight or flight, it's sympathetic. It is, in fact, what creates life energy. All right. And it just, the other side is what's restoring the harmony. So I want you to learn to work on the backside. And as we age, many of you, like me, are in the process of aging, which is fine. It's a normal part of life. I rather enjoy aging, actually. I enjoy aging more than I enjoy growing up. When I look back, I really enjoy what I am now. So I want you to learn to massage the backside of the hand to enhance your yang energy, enhance your living power. And if you have a yang deficiency, what happens is that you want to do something, but somehow your body doesn't carry through. It just, you get tired very easily. And the other one is that you get cold very easily. So when you go to bed and all of a sudden you feel that like your feet are like ice cold, or even during the day, some poor people, some of my students complain that the fingers are always cold, so cold that sometimes it becomes blue. That's very bad, right? And so I want you to learn to massage the back of the hand. So first of all, we're going to work on in between the fingers. So you take your thumb, you use the edge of the thumb, and just very gently, very mindfully massaging in between the fingers. Okay, so first we're going to work on the four fingers, and then we come back and work on the thumb. And then I want you to fold make a fist, and then massage in between the knuckles. And then now the back of the hand, each fingers are still individualized, so there's a gap in between. So I want you to learn to massage that. And now we're going to move to the right hand again, in between, and then in between in the back of the hand. Now I want you to learn to massage or doing acupressure with three very important energy points, all called yang. The first one is called the pond of yang. The next one is called the stream of yang. And then the other one, finally, the last one, let me try to translate. It's like the container, or this is where the silo, that's probably the closest thing to the place where you store your grain, right? Okay, so this one is called the pond of yang. So how do I find that? Well, if you look at the back of the hand, there's actually three meridians. There's in the middle is called the triple warmer. Along the small finger is the small intestines. Along the thumb is the large intestine. So you identify the middle fingers and the index finger, the ring finger. You put your fingers in between until you get to the top of the wrist. You bend your wrist and you move around, and all of a sudden you find an indentation. Now you put the thumb on top and you just do some acupressure. Okay, now the other two is also easy to find, especially if you identify the one along the thumb. So you come down on the thumb, and at the wrist, you find the indentation. You put your thumb here and you form a C clamp. So the index fingers on the side, you just squeeze. That works really well too. And then similarly over here, find that between your middle fingers and index, go to the top of the wrist, move your wrist a little bit until you find the indentation, and the thumb falls into the indentation, and you do some acupressure. And then similarly, put a C clamp, First, put the thumb right below the thumb. Put the left thumb right below the right thumb. Move around until you find the indentation. Form a sequence, goes around and squeeze. Okay. All right. So we're not done yet. We need to work on the thumb. So massage the thumb. The thumb is the most important digit, right? If you don't have the thumb, there's nothing you can do with the other. It's very difficult to use the other fingers, right? Try holding a pair of chopstick without a thumb, or even a knife and a fork for that matter. So I want you to learn to massage your thumb, and particularly if you think of your thumb as a drumstick, there's a part that is you need to form like a pincher with your thumb and your index fingers, and just kind of pinch it a little bit. Okay, pinch it a little bit. This is very important. And then you take your knuckle and you kind of drill into that. Okay, same thing on the other side. Massage your thumb and then pinch this part and then drill into there. For the next 3 weeks, a month maybe, you're going to be hearing a lot of noise in my house. First, since yesterday, we have two dogs now, and two dogs and one cat in one house is World War III. Plus, workers are coming in to work on my roof, work on my side. So there's going to be a lot of commotions, okay? But on the other hand, I'll tell you the story. I must have told this 100 times. So um, I used to follow a monk uh, who whose parents are Korean, but he grew up in United States, and he actually received his MBA from Harvard, which was something that his parents wanted him to do. And so he decided that now that he has done everything that his parents expect and ask of him, it was time for him to do something for himself. And he decided that he wanted to be a monk. Now, keep in mind that he doesn't speak a whole lot of Korean, so he had to learn that, and he had to learn to communicate with his. Eventually, became his master monk in Korea, and he was very excited that the master monk accepted his request to go visit him. So he finally got to where the temple is, and he was very surprised. He was very surprised. He was thinking that this temple would be the top of the mountain, looking over a waterfall, with birds singing and all that. And instead, he find this temple in the middle of a very, very busy market with noises and fishmongers and yelling, and people were fighting. And so he went to his master. He says, "How come you putting the temple in the middle of all these chaos?" And his master said, "Well, if you could meditate here, you can meditate anywhere. So you can meditate with my dog yapping because he wanted treats. You can meditate anywhere." So I told you. I told you. All right. So now we're going to come to the center of the palm. The center of the palm. So this is actually the lung meridian. Actually, it's the meridian that we named after the lung. Okay. And then the middle is what we call the pericardium. So this is the what's outside of the heart. So from a physiology standpoint, it is the heart, right? All right. So now we're going to use that same knuckle and just kind of drill in the center of the palm. And this energy point is called the chamber of labor. It's the only energy point that can give out energy. Healing hand. Okay. Now we're going to put that together. We're going to rub it. And it's very important that you focus on the center of the palm as you do that. All right. Now you take your right hand, you put that on your left hand, and we're going to massage inside the palm, the back of the hand, as well as between the fingers. All right. And the other way. So we have two dogs for the next 3 weeks. One big one and one tiny one. And you can imagine which one is barking right now. It's the tiny one. All right. So are you ready to do some Qigong exercise? Very famous finger Qigong exercise. And it's been advertised as something that is very good in reducing the chance of having a stroke, reducing inflammation in your body, particularly in your blood vessel. And it's a very simple one. And it's work on the idea that Energy, the balance of energy requires understanding of the five elements. If you think about why the planet Earth is such a unique planet, or as far as we can see, that can sustain life, is because we have water. Not only that, you start with water, and now you must have vegetation. Once you have vegetation, it changes the atmosphere, and now you can open up the atmosphere and receives the sun. Now that the sun comes in, it warms up the ice in the icy earth, and so the earth becomes a cradle that can support life. And once you have life in your soil, it creates mineral. And when the mineral adds into the water, now the water can finally become vital, right? So you can imagine these five elements having that synergetic relationship that can create life. But to sustain life, they have to have the opposite. So if you have too much fire, the water can put it out, right? And so the water can restrain the fire can restrain the mineral can restrain the vegetation can restrain, or like wood can restrain the the soil, right? So it's the balance, it's the harmony between the elements, right? That is important. And so the body requires that harmony. The kidney is the water element. The liver is the vegetation, right? The heart is the sun. The stomach and the splint is the soil, and then the lung is the mineral. And it's the balance between all these organs that give us health. It's not individual organ. So in the Western medicine, we specialize. Okay, we do this. It's like working on the individual instrument in a symphony. Whereas the Chinese approach is really about the energy. It's about everybody working in harmony. Okay. Now, so coming back to the fingers, the Chinese believe that the fingers represent the five elements. Therefore, they represent the five organs: the heart, the splint, the liver, the kidney, and the lung, somehow. And so by creating the harmony between them, finding the energy between them is what gives us health. So it's a very simple exercise. We take the thumb, we touch the index fingers, let's close our eye, but you can actually visualize your fingers as you close your eye. And then we're going to squeeze that as hard as we can. Then we take the thumb and we touch the middle finger and we squeeze as hard as we can. Now we take the thumb and the ring finger and we squeeze as hard as we can. And then finally the thumb and the small fingers and we squeeze as hard as we can. Now we take the thumb and put it in the middle of the index finger and one more time, the middle of the big or the middle fingers, and squeeze. In the middle of the ring finger and we squeeze. And then in the middle of the small finger and we squeeze. And that's it. Okay. It's actually very popular in Taiwan, and there's been some success. And it's also, if you know of someone who will have just had a minor stroke, unfortunately, and this is a very good physical therapy as well. It not only allows them to work on the body and improving the coordination, but it actually improves the chi and allow them to recover. Okay. Now the next finger exercise brings the brain into the picture, the left brain and the right brain. And as you know, each species has its own evolution, right? The dog is very good with the smell. My cat now, who's trying to join us, is very good with the eye, right? She doesn't need any light she sleeps in the day, and then she wanders around this, roaming around the house at the night with no light, and she can see everything. So every species have its own evolution. Um, and then the cat is very funny. You can't find her during the day, right? Except when she needs food or she needs to go to the litter box. But the rest of the time, she's got a place that she wants to hide. And then, of course, during the night when she's outside and we're sleeping, But there's a transition, which is like 9 o'clock or so, where we're just getting ready to go to sleep, and she's, getting ready to be active, and that's the time that she wants to be cuddled. And so she would come and make her sound, and then you would say, "Come on, come on, come on," and then she needs that 20 minutes or so of cuddling, brushing, and all that. This is kind of funny. Pets are very funny. So anyway, I want to talk about that. Each animal has its own evolution, and human beings evolve from the fingers, right? Especially the thumb. Once we know how to break a branch off and use it as a weapon, a defensive weapon at the very minimum, we can walk down the trees. And that started everything, right? So the fingers and the brain work together. So this exercise allows us to use a finger to exercise the brain, okay? And it also separates the left brain from the right brain. So let's come back to our spine first. We stretch your spine, lift up our shoulder all the way up, and then we lean back, we open our shoulder all the way back, and then we drop our shoulder, relax upper torso, relax it some more. And now we close our eyes and we bring up our right hand. We can see all the fingers, right? So we're going to close these fingers one at a time. First the thumb, now two fingers, then the index, and then the small fingers, using our left brain. Now we're going to bring down our right hand, lift up our left hand using our right brain. Again, closing the fingers, thumb, two fingers, index, small fingers. We're going to bring up both fists and we're going to squeeze as hard as we can. And we're going to leave the right fist and we're going to open it up in reverse order. Small fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, small fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And we're going to stretch as hard as we can. And then we're going to say to ourselves, that was the first time. Now we're going to do the second time. Focusing on the right hand using left brain. Thumb, two fingers, index, small fingers. Left hand, thumb, two fingers, index, small fingers. Squeeze as hard as we can. Right hand, small fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, small fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And we're going to stretch as hard as we can. Again, saying to ourselves, we're going to do this one more time. Thumb, two fingers, index, small fingers. Thumb, two fingers, index, small fingers. Squeeze as hard as we can. And then we're going to open up the right hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And we're going to stretch as hard as we can. Now we're going to put the palm together. We're going to push it as hard as we can with all the fingertips touching. And now we're going to lift up the elbow. And now keeping the center of the palm together, we're going to bring it down, all the way down. Our cat is visiting us. Okay. She actually didn't sign up for this class. Eh? All right. All right. Now we're going to do another modality called tapping. Again, keep in mind that everything that we do here is just like setting up a vibration, right? Clearing these channels, allowing energy to flow in the body, and finally become the being and not just the human. Being means that we are being one with the universe, right? This life energy we talk about just did not just is not some energy that just circle around in the body. It's actually flowing out from a body. We call that yang, and coming back in. We call that yin. Right? It's very 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 interesting. So how do we set up this vibration? Well, we let the fingers touch. We stretch out our hands. We focus on the fingers. We count as we go 30 times. Get ready. Go. Okay. Now we cross the fingers. Go. Okay, now we're going to work on the inside of the hand. Two very important meridian. One we name after the heart. There are actually two that are related to the heart. This one is the pericardium. That's the outside. That's a yang. That is the outside of the heart. And then this is the heart, but the word heart and mind are very similar. So this is more like the state of your mind. Okay, so it's very simple. It's right here. And so we're going to form a V and we're going to tap this 30 times, right? Now, not the bone, okay? It's just right here. There's no bone here. Get ready, sit up straight 30 times. Count as you go. And then the other way, right? And forming a V pointing down, count as you go. Okay, now we're going to move from the yin to the yang. Now, the yang, again, is life energy, and all the yang energy travel up the spine, gets to the top of the head, and it goes in the universe. All right, so what we want to do is we want to sit up straight, right? Open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Okay, now we're going to work on the outside, and this energy point is right here. And so we're going to bend a palm, and you see this line. It's just right on the edge. So now we're going to fold our hands flat, roll up the fingers, and tap that 30 times. Now you notice that the Chinese, they put the heart, or what I call the mind, and the small intestine together. The scientists are now discovering that as a mammal, all mammal does that. As a mammal, they have a challenge in the evolution is that they cannot digest the food and extract enough nutrient to grow the brain. Okay, so what they do now is that they develop they call in some support, and the support is actually the bacteria in your small intestines. So when you eat food, you're not just grinding up with your stomach, you're actually grinding up, mixing with enzyme. And much of your digestion, in fact, all of your digestions are done in the small intestines. It is there being fermented. It's a fermentation process. Okay. And it does that with what we call the probiotics, right? So they put the mind, your mental health, and your small intestine, your digestive health together. And this is something that we know in the last 50, 60 years, is that as the food supply becomes more industrialized, we keep putting in more and more preservatives in the food as opposed to using natural fermentation to preserve food. And the result is that when you put your preservatives into your body, it not only kills the germs that prevents the food from spoiling, it kills the germs inside. And so there's been some really detailed study about how Parkinson is related to digestive health. So keep that in mind, okay? When you eat the right food. I believe in fermented food, right? And I don't believe in going to Costco and buy some pills that they label as probiotic. There is no such thing. No one will sell you bacteria. That's why we homogenize all our food, right? No one will sell you. You cannot buy bacteria in a jar in a tablet. What they sell you is either pre or post probiotic. Okay, they cannot sell you live bacteria. It's not possible. So what you really want to do is eat the kind of food that promotes your own bacteria, right? Very important. Okay, so now we're going to go from the small intestine to the large intestine. Now it's interesting that they pair the large intestine with the lung. What they're saying is that the lung is just not a bunch of sponge that you absorb air. The whole lung energy is the mineral element. Is what's actually distributing life into your body, and and the opposite of that is the large intestine, is the one that is responsible for taking toxins away. Okay. Now, uh, in the past, I might or might not have, and I explained how these 12 meridians make up a 24-hour clock. It's very important to understand that. It's very easy to go out and use AI to try to understand that. And so I have to find a balance. I do want to talk about it, but I cannot take too much time away from my practice. But this one is important. So if you understand the clock, it will tell you that the most important time is the 4 hours between 11 o'clock and 3. From 11 to 1 is when your gallbladder is active, gallbladder energy. And from 1 to 3 is your liver energy that is active. Now, both of them is what we call the soil, the vegetation element. Together, they're there to remove toxin from your blood. So you need to be sleeping in those 4 hours, right? Don't stay up all night, and you need to go to sleep. I typically try very hard to go to sleep at 10:30, and by 11 I'm sound to sleep, and I'm laying there getting a blood transfusion, right? Your body needs rest, but all your energy, your organs need rest, and those 4 hours are precious. Now, sometimes people sleep too early, and then they end up waking up during those 4 hours. That's not good, right? Make sure that now, of course, on the other hand, you have a night shift. I get it. I'm not saying that that's what we do what we have to do, but if you have a choice, you go to sleep in those 4 hours, and then there are times when you're supposed to wake up, and there's actually three different times that works fine. Now, all my students, we wake up between um, 5 and 7 o'clock because our class starts at 7:30, and that's a very good time to wake up because that's the time when um, what a bunch of things happening during that time. The two meridian that are active is your large intestines and also your stomach. Now, the stomach is important because it's the time when you want to have some food, right? You replenish yourself. Never skip breakfast. Very important. And have it early, like before 7 o'clock. But it also does something else. The stomach energy is the yang energy. You want to be standing around, right? You want to be upright, and when the sun comes out, absorb all the yang energy. But before that, it is the large intestines, and this is the tough one. You should be going to bathroom and do your business around that time. Now, sometimes we miss that, and we develop constipation. And then worse is that the stew sits in your large intestines for too long, and the toxins start to sip into your body. Your intestines are not made of stainless steel; they're porous. And so, someone actually got a Nobel Prize for, understanding that there's something called the leaking gut. All your intestines leaks, and you don't want the toxins to go back into the system. So, if you can, you do your business, and then you have breakfast, right? And then one more thing, from I believe it's from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock is the heart energy, and your heart energy is fire element, and your sun is fire element, and that's the time you should take a nap. So now, of course, I'm speaking to those who are in my state of life where we can afford to take a nap in the middle. I encourage you to take a nap, not a long one, not a long one, just 15 minutes. You don't have to go to bed. You can just lay on the sofa. So when we talk about longevity, we're talking about maximizing our health span, right? It's good to live long, not so good if you're not healthy. It's good to be healthy and living long. And so that's a whole practice. It's not just sitting here doing exercise, listen to what I say. You actually have to practice. There's a lot more. So if you want to know more, ask questions, okay? All right. So let's continue. And let's continue. And this one exercise that I like very much is called scraping. Scraping, clearing the channel, reducing pain. Very important to do before you go to sleep because we develop insomnia because we have too much stress, we have too much cortisol in the body, so we don't have any melatonin. Second one is that it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit, right? We wake up in the middle of the night that over and over again. And then finally, it's because our body aches too much. The body aches too much because of inflammation. So if you clear the channel, you reduce inflammation, you let the energy flow. So let me show you how to do it. This is the one I do if I need to, a couple times a day, but sometimes I don't need to, and I skip. It's whatever my body needs. Now, you take something like this, or you can buy a guatsa. Someone spell guatsa for me, please. Tool from Amazon. It works really well now. If you go to YouTube, they talk about that all the time about scraping the face to, make you prettier, right? I'm pretty enough, so I don't scrape my face. So let's scrape this. All right. So now start in the middle, from the wrist to the elbow. Very important. You take a arch like this, and you just go like that. Now it hurts, right? Well, back up, back off, so that it doesn't hurt that much. But once you tolerate that pain, you realize that it's very pleasant pain. Now we go up, and you can go all the way up to the bone, but we back down, and that's your lung again, from the elbow to the wrist and back, and then the top of the bone, outside of the bone, in the middle of the back of your arm, and then along the small fingers. Okay, the back of the hand, the fingers, the thumb, and then along the small fingers, the middle of the arm, outside of the bone, on top of the bone, inside the bone, in the middle of the inside of the arm, and then finally, very important, if you want to have a good night's sleep, this is the very well-known entry point. It's called the door of your. Uh, it's hard to explain. I should translate. But anyway, yeah, you know this one. All right, so from here, about 4 inches, there are four energy points here, all the way to the elbow. Same thing on the other side. Further up, inside the bone, on top of the bone, a little bit outside the bone, in the middle, along the small fingers, and then the back of the hand, the fingers, the thumb, back along the small fingers, in the middle of the back of the hand, arm, outside of the bone, on top of the bone, inside the bone, and then in the middle, and then along the small fingers. So if you have carpal tunnel, this is a good way. This is a good way, right? All right. So the next exercise really creates that energy flow. So let's lift up our shoulder again, go back, and then relax. Point all our fingers towards the camera. Take roll up our four fingers. Push it down with your thumb. Lock it with your thumb. Now wind up the four fingers, and then get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Open your shoulder, relax. Take your hand. We form what's called the lotus hand. We take a thumb and the middle fingers. We stretch out the other three. Again, those are the five elements, right? That also correspond to your five organs, five treasure organs. Now you take this lotus hand, you put that in front of your shoulder. You open your shoulder. I talk about the lung being more than just a sponge that absorbs that absorb air, but rather a energy that distribute uh, resource energy into a body. So this energy point is actually very important. That's why we always learn to open a shoulder like this. This energy point is called the gate to the cloud. All right, get ready. Back of the hand facing the camera now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? Okay? All right. So now we're going to learn to massage the back of the neck, the shoulder, the top of the head. We're quickly running out of time. Okay? And I think Martha says one has to wonder if many of our mental health issues are related to gut issues. Yes. So I talk about preservatives, you know, buying food in a cardboard box is basically buying preservatives at a very high markup. So that's the problem with our youth. You know, young people now has all kinds of emotional. I wouldn't call it mental problem. I don't want to um, demeaning people who have mental issues. I prefer to call it emotional issue. Okay, it's something that you can actually correct. And our young kids now, my mom has 9 grandchildren, and So it's 9 grandchildren on one side and 10 grandchildren on the other side with two in common. So, and then I have lots of young people around me, and it's easy to see that they all have some kind of emotional problem. And the extreme could be depression, could be anxiety, and all that. And, there's a lot of reason for that, but just look at the food that we consume these days. So, in addition to preservative, is industrial sugar. That's another thing that is really bad for your gut is industrial sugar. Unfortunately, all sugars are industrialized now, right? All your corn syrups are industrialized. So anyway, and your oil, we somehow we've been educated to think that vegetable oils are much better than animal oil. So we stay away from butter, we stay away from all that. But what they call vegetable oil is actually seed oil, and seed is toxic. They're toxic for a reason. They want you to carry them, you know, carry the seeds. So they make sure that they're toxic so that they irritate your intestine and you can pass them out quickly. And so when you make oil out of that, it's toxic. The only oil that I use is olive oil. That is not made out of seed, that's made out of the fruit. All right, so let's work on our back. All right. Open the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin. We take a hand, we put that behind our head. We use the thumb, we find the both on either side of the neck. There is a very easy to find indentation. So let's massage that now. This is called the pan. Again, pan of wind. So this is wind means nerve. And massage. And then now we're gonna do some acupressure, pushing down, leaning back, hold it as if you're squeezing a rubber hose. And then we're gonna go relax. Now we take the right hand, we put that on the left. We push down with the fingers, we grab the left side of the neck and we pull it over the right as if you're opening a channel. We do the same thing on the other side. We grab the right side and we pull it to the left. And now we come up, we bring up our left ear, we take a right hand, we massage right below our ear. And there's a lot of attention these days to the vagus nerve, right? So you can buy all kinds of toys on Amazon how to energize your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve starts right here. So now it goes across. So let me massage that. And then now lift up a right ear, again massage this energy point, which also named after the wind, and then go around, around, and then around. Okay, it's not just here, it's actually this entire region. So let's fold down a left ear, massage that corner, and then we bring it down towards the cavity that we call the wind of the pan of wind. Just go down like this, go down like this, and then we do that the other side. Go down. Now, right in the middle, right? So we start here, and as you go down right in the middle, on top of the bone, there's sort of an indentation. Now, you just do a little bit of acupressure. You feel the stress there? Yeah, this energy point is called, it has to do with your quality of your sleep. And just kind of massage it, remove some of the stress. Now, come back to the cavity. We're going to squeeze the neck. We go down in the middle, we're going to squeeze the neck. There's another set of energy point. We go all the way down here and we're going to squeeze that. We're going to squeeze that. Now we bend our neck to the left. We're going to massage the right side. We do that the other side. Okay. Now, many of you, as you age, your fingers hurt and you don't have much strength on your fingers. It's very hard to massage with your fingers. I recommend that you use this part. This is a very good part. So you just use that part to massage your neck. Use that part to massage. Now, sometimes you have so much pain and stretch in your neck. One thing that would help is that you take your right hand, you put that on your left side. You take the other side, you put that on the side of your head and you go like this. And then you go like this. Okay? Massage. All right. Now let's massage the left side of your neck and the right side. Now we look straight ahead. We turn the head to the right. We look down, and then all of a sudden you see a tendon, kind of scrape like that. You look in the front. You look up, and then you massage here. This is your lymphatic system. Now you do the same thing on the other side. You look to the left. You look down. You scrape. You look in the front, you look up, and you square. Okay, now we're going to learn to massage the shoulder. A lot of stress in the shoulder. So first you identify this very important indentation. Okay, and you just gonna do that. I just saw a YouTube video that among the young people that are they would they spend a lot of time putting the face on, and turns out that some of them actually do this one first. And when you work on energy points, they reduce inflammation, right? But they also reduce water retention, and they believe that by doing that, they get a nicer face before they put the makeup on. I don't put any makeup on, so it's not good. That's not important to me. All right, now the back. You see the cavity here. Another one right here. Another one right here, and then in front. Okay, so there's a school of massage therapy called fascia massage. They're not massaging your muscle, your tendon. They're massaging your fascia. Fascia is myofascia. It's the connective tissue of your muscle, right? So these are the fascia points. Right? Back. You see the cavity, 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 right? Massage. All right. So we're running out of time, so going to skip something. Okay, so we're going to quickly go to. Um, I want to spend a little bit of time doing the foot massage. So before we do that, let's learn there's 8 important longevity cavity. They are called the what would be the translation? They're like cavities that are closest to your internal organs. They're the warmest part of your body. I know this one. When I was climbing the Kilimanjaro with my son in Africa, it was so cold. The only thing that keeps you warm is like this. Yeah, and of course I wear like you know 3 underwear. Overcoat. It was a mess, but that was the only thing that I could keep warm. Right? It was so cold. It was so cold that when I asked my guide, I had a personal guide because my sons were already up in the summit, and I said, "How cold is it?" And he says, "-40." I said, "Is that in Fahrenheit or Celsius?" And he says, "At -40, they're the same." All right, so let's learn to tap these longevity points. And so this one is part of the heart meridian. And so this muscle is actually very important, right? You all read about how as we age, we don't want to lose a muscle. You don't want to lose this one. And so we're going to do some stretching by putting our elbow on top, looking straight ahead, stretch this. Now we're going to pinch the right side of the ear, turn to the head to the right, bring up your right hand, form empty hand, put that in front of your armpit, and then listen. You're playing an instrument, okay? So listen with your left ear. Get ready? Go. Continue. And then the other side. Lift up and then left ear, turn your head to the left, left hand, empty hand, right ear. Get ready, go. Continue. And then now to your elbow. That's another set of longevity cavities. So we lock your elbow, we take a right hand, form empty hand, we wrap it around. So fingers on top, palm on the side, we lift it up, turn your head to the right, listen with the left ear, get ready, go. Continue. And then the other side, left hand, right ear, get ready, go. Continue. Okay, now we're gonna. I don't want to skip the foot massage, and also today, somebody asked me about things I can do to prevent dementia, things I can do to. Another student asked about diabetes. Okay, so let me quickly. And then another question asked me about what I should do to improve the quality of my sleep. I talk about try to stay. Sleep, try to sleep between 11 and 3, and someone says, oops, I sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. Uh, the quality of your sleep is what prevents you from having dementia. Okay, I hate to tell you this so direct. My father couldn't sleep at all. And there's some study now that the quality of sleep is really that important because sleep is not for your body. It's not just to rejuvenate your body. It is to cleanse your brain. Okay. All right. So let's open a thumb. This is a very important point. And so let's massage here and do some acupressure here. Now you notice that this is identical to this. I mean, similar to this, right? It's between your the number one digit and number two, between number one and number two. These four energy points are very good in reducing your high blood pressure. If your high blood pressure is in fact caused by anxiety. And so this one is very good if you massage before you go to sleep. Okay. Now this is the liver meridian. So there's another part. Liver meridians is very well hidden. So it's very hard to get to it. And it's actually behind this tendon. And so this is why it's called a longevity tendon. Now, if you have an issue with diabetes, it's actually diabetes is involves both the splint, stomach, and then your kidney energy. One is water. This is the um, I call that the beginning of life, and this is the splint and the stomach. And this is the earth element, the soil element. So that's the cradle of life. Someone said that they like that, the cradle of life. So you want to learn to scrape this part, and you want to learn to scrape this part if you have diabetes. Okay. All right. And then the other one is actually, if you want to prevent dementia, it's actually in the calf. Now this is a study from UCSF, and so you want to kind of scrape that. Okay? Now, when we do the Yi Jin Jing, we stand with the, the way that we stand enhances the calf. Okay, now over here, and then upper pressure. Okay, turn that upside down, and then scrape this longevity tendon. Come back, scrape right below the bone, scrape right below the ankle. Okay, all right. Okay, so we don't have any more time left, so let's just let's do Yi Jin Jing, and then I want to do meditation with you, right? Okay. So I spent a lot of time talking today because sometimes it's important to explain something, but also I'm a talker. I like my voice. All my professions has been talker. I was a professor. I was a salesman. Talk, 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 talk. Okay, so let's work on our longevity cavity. Right behind the knee, and get ready, go. Continue. Okay, so today I didn't actually talk about saliva, how important it is to have saliva, how important it is to have the ability to self-hydrate. When you're in fight or flight, it turns off the saliva. And so having saliva is actually an indication that you are not in fight or flight. You're actually coming back to the rest and digest. And the reason why you don't have any saliva is because the saliva is responsible for three very important things: your immunity, your digestion, and your reproduction. Now, people think that reproduction is about the next generation. We reproduce all the time. All our cells live only for 200 days. So it needs to be reproduced. And so this part here is a very important part because, first of all, it's a bottleneck for all the yang energy coming out. And it's the part that is closest to our reproductive organ. That's where our reproduction starts, every 200 days. So basically, it means every day, every minute, because these cells, they go in rotation, right? Okay, so this tapping is actually very important to you. Ready? Go. Okay, so let's do this Qigong exercise, Yi Jin Jing. My students like this. On Sunday, they love this because it's very energetic. At the end, you jump. Everybody wants to see how far they can jump. And so you're doing it wrong. This is not a contest. Everything's a contest with these guys. All right. So we're gonna have to learn how to stand properly first. So we stand with the bottom of our feet touching the ground, right? The energy point is called gushing spring. The idea is that energy is coming up. Now, the way you stand is that you imagine your bottom of your feet are divided by four parts: the front, the back, the left, and the right. Right? So now it's firmly on the ground. Then you gently rotate so that the toes are pointing inward. That allows you to loosen up your knee, activating the calf. That's called the second heart, right? Okay. So energies are coming up. No wonder, when they do the study at UCSF, that people that have dementia tend to have a deteriorated calf, right? So one exercise they recommend is walking, not jogging, not running, walking, and climbing stairs. Right? Very gentle, effective exercise. Next thing you want to do, you want to open up the shoulder and then relax, as if you're aligning the well on your shoulder with the spring. Then you want to lean back, your forehead, tuck in your chin, aligning the 100 meet with your spine. Then you want to focus on the center of your palm. There's an energy point that I can actually put out energy. Now, the first one is called Spirit Boosting Palm. And then you close your eye, you focus, you anchor your mind on the center of your palm. You pay attention to your breathing. You're breathing in and you're breathing out. And right here, when your mind is the calmest, then you push. Get ready? Go. Now, it's very important to understand that that was energetic. That was very good. That released stress hormone to reduce inflammation in your body. Now it's equally important, which is that you need to come back to rest and digest so that you can restore your sensitivity to the stress hormone. If you're under stress all the time, we have this thing called the cortisol resistance, which means that you lose your self-healing power. Your body starts to inflame in spite of your body being full of steroid. So the way to do that is that you focus on your breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. That's one breath. Now let's focus on the second breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay? Now you're ready for the second time. Again, don't look down. Close your eye. Focus on the center of your palm. Time it with your breath. And then go. Back to the breath. And you can even check the inside of your mouth. If your inside of your mouth starts to have some wetness, that means you do it right. There's a check in the end that that requires you swallow those saliva. One last time, focus, go. Back to the breath. The next one is called pointing the one tail. One tail is the name of this energy point, but you just have to point it. You don't have to touch it. Right? So you're forming a semicircle energy loop. You roll up your four fingers, and you imagine someone hang two buckets of water on your thumb, and you want to lift up your thumb to lift up to two buckets of water. You stretch your thumb as hard as you can, energizing the large intestine meridian, which is responsible for your detoxing. And then you relax without lowering your hand. After two breaths, second time. And again, you relax by focusing on your breath and nothing else. One last time. And then lower your hand, relax. Okay, the wetness in your mouth is the saliva. The saliva comes from inside of your tongue and is controlled only by your mind, only when you relax. The third one is called beginner's mind. You lift up your hand, you put your fingers across the palm, you rub your four fingers, and you squeeze as hard as you can, and then you relax without lowering your hand. One breath, two breaths. Second time, and again you relax, focusing only on your breath. One last time, and then relax. This time you lower your hand, completely relax. Now we're going to take a deep breath by putting a fist together in front of your belly button. You're going to take a deep breath as you bring up your fist. Once you reach your nose, you relax. You keep your fist in front of your nose. You bring together your elbow. You focus on your back where the bladder meridians are, and you stretch your back as if you're opening up to the back, opening up the meridian, and then relax. After two breaths, second time, and then relax. And then one last time, and then relax. The next one is called the fist above the head. So you bring it up, you open your shoulder, you open your fist. And now this is a very cardio exercise. You are just going to fight with your heart. Okay, this is what the nurse tells you when they draw blood. All right, so you roll your fist, one joint, two joint, you lock it with your thumb, and you squeeze as hard as you can. All right, that forces your heart blood pressure to go up. And then you relax, letting the blood come back to your fingertips. Exercising your heart. Second time, squeeze as hard as you can, and then relax. After two breaths, one last time, squeeze as hard as you can, and then relax. The next one is called stabbing your shoulder. You open your shoulder, you grab two daggers, you point your dagger to your shoulder, and you stab. Now, make sure you're not dipping down your head. You feel the tightness behind your neck, where the gallbladder meridians are. That energy point that we're working on, very tight, and then you relax. Let the blood go to the top of your head, improving your blood flow. Second time, stab, and then relax. One last time, stab, and then relax. Next one called the cross. Now, we're not punching, we're pushing. So you have to imagine you have two trees, you can already touch it. And so first we're going to rotate our wrist, exercising all that energy point. We're going to roll our fist, take a deep breath, hold your breath, and push as hard as you can. And then relax. The word bang means avalanche. You push it so hard, you cause an avalanche. Second time, lift up your hand, roll your wrist, roll your fist, take a deep breath and push as hard as you can, stretching the upper part of your arm, the one they call triple normal, and then relax. One last time, lift up your hand, rotate your wrist, and then push, and then relax. Right? The triple warmer is so important that we do it a second time. So front hanging. So you lock your elbow as if this is the bamboo stick that you use to hang your clothes. Tree in front of you, and push. After 2 breaths, lift up your hand, rotate your wrist, take a deep breath, hold your breath, and push. One last time. Relax. So now we're going to do chin up. Work on this muscle. Oh, look up, see the bar, grab the bar, follow the bar, and pull yourself up. Use that muscle. You don't use it, you lose it. And relax. Feel the inside your mouth. Second time. And relax. One last time. And relax. Okay, now we're going to do it again, working on the muscle. Imagine you have a bow and arrow, one bow on one side, one bow on the other side. You're going to open the bow. Grab it and open it. And then relax. After 2 breaths, open it. And then relax. One last time. Open it. And then relax. Now we're going to swallow the saliva that we collect. Swallow all the way to the down 10. Now the next one is very similar to the modern yoga. In fact, that we stretch the back, but we also use we also use the entire body. So first thing you want to do, you want to stand up straight, and then back of the hand, and you lower your hand, but you're without locking your knee, right? You're still loosening up your knee. You go all the way down, and you're dipping your head, looking straight down. You squeeze your fist, back of the hand touching. Second time, back of the hand touching. One last time, back of the hand touching. Flip your hand, focus on the center of your palm. Breathe in, breathe out, empty hand. Breathe in, pointing your palm forward, lower your knee, looking at that big rock, and push. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Very gently walk back to a seat. Right? We're going to sit like the bell, meaning that the legs are like the pedestal. Make sure that we don't use any muscle. Try to stay flat. If you cannot stay flat, use pillows and blankets. And relax your hand. Try not to do any hand gesture. Straighten up your spine. Lean back, relax. Opening your shoulder. Lean back and relax. Lean back the forehead. Tuck in your chin. Close your eye, but don't shut it. Relax the eyelid. And then finally, put the tip of the tongue behind here, touching the roof of your mouth very gently. Feel the inside of your mouth, feel that wetness inside your mouth. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to collect all that energy that is running around in the body now. That sensation that we feel, we're going to collect all that into our stomach, what we call the Dan Ten, the feel of fire. We do that by focusing on your belly button, more precisely, one finger below the belly button, the energy point that we call the sea of chi. And we're going to start by just knowing our breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now we're going to anchor our mind on that energy point called the sea of chi right below the belly button. And when you breathe in, I want you to relax your stomach and imagine yourself pointing your belly button forward, bringing that sea of chi forward. Just your mind, just use your mind, very relaxed. And then when you breathe out, I want you to imagine bringing that belly button back, collapsing your stomach, and bring it all the way back to your spine, the energy point called the gate of life. Breathing in, relax your stomach, pointing it forward, and then breathing out, collapsing your stomach, pointing the belly button back. Now we call that collecting the chi. We collect all that energy that we activate when we do the Yi Jin Jing into our lower abdomen. Okay, all right. Let's just stop just with 3 minutes. Okay, now we're going to continue. So visualize what we're doing. We start the class by doing massage, doing tapping, doing acupressure, doing scraping, all for the purpose of clearing this energy channel from top to bottom. Then we practice this very aggressive very energetic set of Qigong exercise that comes in 14 form. And each one works on one yang channel, starting with the spine, moving to the large intestine, the thumb, eventually working on the back, which is the one named after the bladder, work on the neck, the one named after the gallbladder, and then eventually muscles, stretching, and then finally we come back to the spine, come back to, oh, don't forget the triple warmer. We did a lot of that on our upper arm, clearing all those channels, activating these channels so our body is full of energy. So what we just did with 3 minutes is to collect all that energy into our lower element and coordinate it using our breath, particularly using our diaphragm. Now, diaphragm is very magical. The diaphragm is actually part of the vagus nerve. And so what we're doing here is not only collecting energy, but we're separating them into yin and yang. Yang energy when we breathe in, yin energy when we breathe out. Yang energy goes into fight or flight. The body thinks that we're in danger, so releases stress hormone. The most important one is cortisol, which is a natural form of steroid. So reduce inflammation in the body. And then when we breathe out, using a diaphragm again, we enter into the rest and digest. No more stress hormone. But more importantly, we give our body a rest so that we can maintain our sensitivity to the steroid. Okay? Meaning that we are securing our own self-healing power. And that's a problem when you have too much stress, is that you develop resistance, right? And so now what we're going to do is we're going to distribute that energy through our primary channel. So I want you to focus on the lower part of your spine. As you breathe in, I want you to walk up the spine, stretch the spine until you go to the top of your head. But don't stop at the top of the head as if you want that energy to go into the universe. You are now a being. You're being with the universe. And when you breathe out, you want to come back down from the front, forehead, tip of your nose, through your tongue, back to your stomach, and you lean back and relax. Breathe in, stretch. Not necessarily stop at the top of the head. Go as far up as you can. And then breathe out, come back in, lean back and relax. Now let's do 3 minutes practicing that. Okay. So I want to talk about what happens when you have too much stress. And then I'm going to answer that question also. about Catherine, whose father is 96 and has some problem recovering from pneumonia, because I have some experience with that. So let's talk about what happens when you have too much stress. Well, as I said, when you have too much stress, your body is flooded with steroid, right? Which is there for a purpose, right? The body pumps you up with steroid because you're running away from danger. That's what our ancestors do. They leave the comfort of the cave to seek food. So they're outside, and the body, when they see the sun, it knows that your body is in danger. It puts out stress hormone. That's why those who monitor their blood sugar couldn't figure out why, even with fasting, the blood sugar go up in the morning. Well, your body sees light, senses danger, prepare you for that. So it puts out stress hormone, and it also start to take glucose out of your liver and get you ready. And that's why your blood sugar goes up in the morning. It's how our body works. But on the other hand, your stress hormone, the cortisol, the steroid, is there for a purpose, right? It's to allow you to survive in danger by reducing inflammation in your body. But if you have too much, then the body is like someone ring the doorbell. If someone rings the doorbell, now my worker is going to come in about a couple of minutes, and they cannot. They have a key, but they cannot come in now because my dogs are downstairs, probably there right now. So I would go down and open the door. But imagine someone keep pressing the bell, and I say, "Forget it, I'm not opening it." And that's what your body do when you have too much cortisol. It says, "Forget it." So this is called resistance, cortisol resistance. But when your body could not respond to your own cortisol, then your body inflames. You lose all your ability to heal, to self-heal. So I'm not going to tell you who it is, but those of you who had listened to me talking about my family knows that it's someone close to the family. And I just find out that he has what is called a drippy face. That all of a sudden, people notice that his smile is kind of crooked. So he goes to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, you have a virus, and so we're going to pump you up with steroid." And then he says, "Well, where does this virus come from?" "Oh," the doctor said, "it's in your body." I forgot what that is called when someone all of a sudden you have these rashes in your back that looks like kind of wind around, and that's called Ball's palsy. Thank you so much. But the other one where you have some inflammation is very painful, very painful. The doctors say the same thing. "Oh, it's a virus. It's in your body." Virus, shingles. Thank you so much. Virus is our ancestor. Animal cell develop a plant cell because of virus. If there weren't any virus, we would never have animal cell. Right? The planet would just be full of plants. But it was just a freak of nature, and it was an attack of virus that turns plant cell into animal cell. So virus is us. Virus is our ancestor. The problem comes when we start to domesticate our animal and the virus from the animal crosses over, right? We call that zoonotic, like in the zoo. And so that's for many years, like something like 25,000 years. We have, just a regular cold and all that from that virus, from the animal virus. Now, of course, more recently, the problem got worse because of wild animal, especially in Africa, that as they open up the jungle, they start to consume, the chimpanzees and the apes and so forth. And the virus from the wild animal escape, and that's very dangerous. So there are virus in us. There are virus in us, but it doesn't bother us because we have ability to self-heal. We have ability to be immune to it. Well, that works until you lose that ability. And then you lose ability. And the loss of the ability comes from stress because you have too much stress hormone. That's why stress kills. Stress kills. Right? Now, coming back to the questions that Catherine asked, that his father is 96 and having a great difficulty breathing and clearing the lung of phlegm. I believe it's called phlegm. Okay, so there are a couple of things you can do. It's called the magic hand. This is the healing hand. Okay, so don't estimate the power you have as a healer, especially with family members. So first, you focus on the center of your palm. You rub it together, and if it helps, you ask for higher power, someone that you know represents positive energy. It doesn't matter if it's whoever, whatever religion you want to be. It could be Mother Mary, could be what works for me is Guan Yin. So when I try to help with my father, I focus on Guan Yin. Okay, so now you take your empty hand and you let your father sit on a chair, and you go around the chair and you just pat it very gently around the back of his in his back, loosening up the phlegm inside his lung. Okay, just pat, 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 like this, and maybe hold him with your hand on one side and pat, 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 on the other side. So that would help loosening it. And the other one that I help is that you want to open up your lung channel by making sure that he has plenty of opportunity to open his shoulder. So older people tend to do this, sick people tend to do this, right? So you want to open up that lung channel. You're not gonna be able to teach anything else, right? Just open the channel. So again, you stand behind him, have him lean against you, and you grab him by his elbow, and you do the exercise that we do here, just opening up. One, two, whispering to him, and just help him by opening the channel. All right. Then one last thing you can do is that if he could stand up, they have a stroller. And so ask them to stand on the stroller. If they couldn't do anything else, just ask them to stand, but without locking the knee. See if they could do that. Activate the calf. The calf is your second heart. So you want to bring some more positive, some more yang energy into him. If you could do that, that would help a lot. If he could even stand on his toes, I doubt that he could. But if he could stand on his toes, activating the bottom of feet, that would help a lot. So there's nothing that you can do on a short-term basis that will really make a difference, except to kind of loosen up his lung. His what is happening is that his lung is full of water, right? And what he can cough up is the phlegm, but it's just basically full of water. He has very little use of his lung, and once the lung is filled with water, they're dead. They're dead forever. There's no regeneration of the lung. The lung is that one organ that will not regenerate if it's soaked in water. Okay. Now people talk about how the tobacco, if you smoke tobacco, you can recover, but that's assuming that you don't have any water retention. Okay. So try to open up that lung uh, by helping him. He's not going to be able to do it himself. Just holding his elbow, and then just help him. Just help him. That's all you can do. Relieve some pain, and then allow him to breathe more oxygen. He needs oxygen now, right? As much as he can. Okay, does that help, Catherine? Okay, so let's put our hands together, and we spent an hour and a half together. We're focusing on our body, focusing on our mind, focusing on the breath. It's like we remove some of that black cloud, and our positive energy is shining through. And this is a good time to make use of the positive energy to help relieve pain. Think about all the beings. I'm thinking about Catherine's father right now. And I'm going to chant to help relieve pain in all beings. And hopefully, some of that energy can be received by Catherine and his father. May all beings be free from animosity and negative energy. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings be blessed with kindness, loving kindness, compassion, empathy, and equanimity. Sabi Satam Let us all be blessed with health, with happiness, and with peace. Namaste. It's a very difficult process to see someone you love, someone close to you, someone that means a lot to you, to be in that stage of life where you know where it's going to end. And all we can hope for is that there's not much suffering. And all we can hope for is that he walked towards light. And as a child, we have to value that time, do everything we can. Now is your opportunity to say thank you. Say you love him. Say you're sorry. And then even someday, be ready to say goodbye. With the confidence that him being a very good man, regardless of the religion, he would walk towards light. Namaste. Okay, all right. We are here for you. We are all here for you. Okay, okay. I'll see you all next week, huh? Okay，星期一見。多謝大家，多謝大家支持，拜拜。